through history, there's been a lot of iconic guitar riffs and bass riffs and things like this, all the way from Crazy Train, Smoke on the Water, Seven Nation Army, etc. Songs that I touch on with students in lessons all the time, comes up all the time, over and over again. For good reason, because they're instantly recognizable. I call them quick, easy wins, and everyone recognizes them, everyone knows them. So it's just a win for everyone involved, really, to be honest with you. But in terms of bass playing, one of those iconic standout songs, I would say, is For Whom the Bell Tolls, Metallica. I've never been the biggest Metallica fan, contrary to popular belief. Everyone else on the entire planet seems to be. My love for metal is more heavily attached to Black Sabbath and bands like that than it is the kind of thrashier side of things, I guess you could say. Although I do love some of the thrash bands, but it goes without saying that this is an iconic bass song, bass-driven song, bass riff, and bass player being Cliff Burton, of course. So I thought we'd break this down on bass in this bass lesson today. Make sure you grab your bass, tune up, and get ready to jump right in. So of course, straight right out of the gate, we've basically got a bass solo, basically bass. How many times am I going to say that today? Let's find out. So yeah, we've basically got a bass solo. There's another one for you right there. Obviously, you've got these stabs at the very start. It's syncing up with the guitar. Open E string, and then that's when the technical stuff comes in, yeah? So obviously there's a lot of like distortion and of effects and things like that going on the actual bass tone and on the track itself. Mine's quite dry and pretty run-of-the-mill right now, so mainly because it's just easier and better to get the point across in the video, of course. So, alright, so we've got a note right here that bass players would never normally play or ever dream of playing, to be completely honest, and that'll be 19. So we've got 19, 18, 17, 16, and a chromatic run, every finger, every note. Going to the D string, 17, 16, back to the G, 19, and then jumping to the A string, string skipping, 17, 16, and then you're basically looping and repeating this riff right here with the open E string kind of among that somewhere, okay? So rewatch that as many times as you want to or need to, and I hope that makes sense for you anyway. So a little bit later, the next riff that comes in is another sort of, there's a lot of chromatic riffs in general when it comes to Metallica, to be completely honest with you, and this is another one of them. It is the riff right here, okay? So it's fairly simple with two alternate endings in there. For the most part, you're on the E string, of course, right there, nice and chunky, nice and thick, and you've got this chromatic run between 0, 3, 2, 1, 0, 3, 2, 1, 0, 3, 2, 1, 0, 2, 3, open A string, and then you loop all of that again, and then the second time round is where the alternate ending comes in, which is 0, 2, 3, 2. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple to follow for the most part, I would say, especially in comparison to that previous riff, which is a complete nightmare in comparison, of course. And we're running into the next riff, which is where bass chords come into it. So this is another interesting thing. Not a lot of bass players actually ever really cover bass chords a lot of the time. It's not like a super common thing as much as you probably think it should be or would be. But we've got this power chord on the bass right here on the A and the G, on the A and the D, which is 7 and 9, okay? This E power chord. And you're gonna go back and forward between an open E string and this power chord. So you've got sort of like a... And then you just go to a root note of the 3. And a little fill. So that's just a 10 hammer 12. Back to the open string, back to the chords. Back to the root notes. And then you've got another little bass fill that comes in with an octaves I should say. 3, 5, 0, 7. And then looping from that point forward, alright? So that's that current riff right there. There's a hell of a lot of riffs all back to back in this song, as there is with a lot of Metallica songs as well. Another common theme, of course. The next riff coming up is quite straightforward for the most part, and that is the chorus riff, which is... Again, 2 alternate endings that come into play right there, and then looping and repeating. So we've got this kind of chuggy on the E string here. 0-0-0-3, 0-0-0-5, 0-0-0-3, 6, 2, 0-0-0-3, 0-0-0-5, 0-0-0-3, 6, 2, 1. And that's your 2 alternate endings right there. From there, you've got another verse, which is the same as before, and another chorus, which is the same as before. And then we have an interlude section, which is like kind of one of the mini guitar solo-esque parts, I guess you could say, which is sort of like a variation on the verse, I feel like, with some accents and things like that. So you've got this bass chord consistent again. Slide down from the 12 to the 3, and then you've got the stabs. Back to the open string. And then you've got 7, back to the open string. And it kind of just loops around this concept, around this idea right here. So like I said, it is just an alternative take on the verse riff, to be completely honest with you. Another chorus, and then you finally got the last riff in the song, which is the outro riff. And again, it's a little bit more on the simpler side in comparison to the bass chords, in comparison to the bass solo intro, essentially. Sorry. Staying on that E string all the way, we've got root notes, 0, 2, 2, 0, 2, 2, 3, 3, 0, and then looping and repeating until the song fades out all the way to the end. So I hope all of those riffs make sense at the very least anyway. As always, if you have any thoughts or questions, always feel free to let me know. I'll be looking at doing more songs in the future across bass and guitar in terms of how to play, and also why you should learn X song by X band, which I might be doing following this video as well. So always look out for that, and always look forward for that. Otherwise, thank you very much once again for watching and listening and learning here with me today. I'm Carl here at Carl Stacey Guitar Tuition, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.